Welcome to Cypress Creek Adventures. Hey there, welcome to this week's episode. This week we're going to do some work on a wheelbarrow that I've used for many years, and the handles finally gave up on it. So we want to replace the handles and fix it back up so we can put it back in service and continue to use it. Every farm and homestead across this country has a wheelbarrow, or it get damaged or broken. This video will help you understand how to replace the handles and get it back in shape after it's been damaged. So please subscribe to my channel and like and share. I hope this is informative for you and enjoy this video. Okay, so here we are. I got the wheelbarrow up here on some sawhorses, and I was going along and the wheel fell off, and I said, well, I guess I'm gonna have to fix this. And so that's what this video is all about. And then when I went to the True Value, I was going to get these rails and just, you know, bite the bullet and spend the money. But for $50, I didn't thought that was too much. And plus, they didn't have the wedges here, which we need too. So we'll take some treated lumber and make some new rails and wedges. And we'll take all this hardware apart and get it painted and put it back. The bowl itself is in good shape and it's not dented or rusted out, so it's worth using. And all winter I got this wheelbarrow and another one that I use for my firewood, and so it gets a lot of service. And I was carrying leaves, it was the only thing I had on it, and there's an ash here on this front from when I was going to the burn pile. And so on the way back to get more leaves, the wheel fell off and I was like, uh-oh. So anyway, we'll move on and take this apart and get things cleaned up and put back together. Alright, so we got some oil on all these joints. Sometimes you might have to take some pliers to hold the tip. These bolts go all the way through. Once it breaks loose, it comes off pretty easy. You get to the point where we can just spin it the rest of the way off on the fingers. These bolts here and here, they go all the way through to the bowl. When you usually, I'll flip it over here in a little bit and we'll look at that. So right now I'm just trying to get the carriage off. And we can get it cleaned up. And while we're waiting for the paint to dry on that, then we'll take the wood and work our wood and make the new rails. So for right now, I'm just still taking and breaking bolts loose. This wheelbarrow spends a lot of time inside, but it's also, when it gets really cold, I use it for wood. So I have two different wheelbarrows that I use for wood. So I'm being very careful to hold the top of this bolt so I can break this nut loose like I just did there. And but you don't want to mess the threads up top here, because this has got to come off. So just be very careful. And take this, run this all the way up, and we'll do the same on the other side. I've already got that one. I actually came up with my fingers. I didn't even have to use the wrench after I broke it loose. Most all this kind of work is just patience and just some basic knowledge. So you save yourself a lot of money if you have the materials and actually turn out maybe better than if you went to the store and bought, you know, the expensive stuff. So to me, I got time to do it, and I'm going to save myself some money and still have a nice wheelbarrow when I get done. This was one of the first wheelbarrows I had when I was still farming. It's had it since probably even in the late 80s. I can't remember how long, but it's a long time. And I have a couple other wheelbarrows that I just kind of accumulated. This doesn't owe me a thing. I just put a lot of service in. So wants to fight to the end, so we'll go underneath here and put our pliers under there, and then take the wrench and work over the top. And I hardly got a hold of it, just need enough to keep it from spinning. but there's some years of corrosion on here. Once we get all this off, we'll clean it all up and then we'll put it back together. It'll outlive me. Alright, so now we got this all loose. So we're going to take this carriage off and we'll just leave this all together, clean this up, put some new paint on it, and it's green from being outside. So now what we have is we have our handles, and these bolts go all the way through. That one fell out. So we'll use, this one is a little short. We're going to take this one and pull this off, and this will be, we'll use this for a template. And we know just from experience that this has got to be 60 inches from the full length, so part of this is missing. But we'll use this for our holes, and we'll be able to use this for our template when we lay out our next board. So this will be the axle, and then the bowl sits here with that carriage. So, and the same with the wedge. So we have the wedge here, and it's getting in bad shape, so we'll make a new one of those for each side. Clean all this up here, put a little paint here, get that all in shape. So the next thing we'll do now is get the rest of the hardware cleaned up and get some paint on. Alright, so you can see we got things cleaned up here, and we got a little paint on. We'll let this dry. Some of this got to be flipped over. And we got our bowl here cleaned up where the runners go. We're fighting the sun today. So now we're going to come over here, set up another sawhorse, and we'll start on getting our handles put together. Alright, so what we have now, we have this treated board. And the only thing that's going to be different about this is this board here is about 1 5/8 inches, and these old runners were 2 inches, not quite 2 inches, but 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. So it'll be a little bit smaller, but it's still going to be strong. And we want to pick out for the handle end where you put your hand. We want it to be pretty clear. So this end here, from here out, and the bowl will probably sit in here, would be fine. Or we can use this other end that has one knot. Because we're going to split this board right in half, so I'd rather not get into these big knots down on this end, and we do have one here. So I was kind of a toss-up which end to use. Now I'm thinking now that because this one's on the edge so hard, as you can see it's in here pretty deep, that we'll flip this over and we'll use this end as our end to pull from. So we're going to pull up here, and we want 60 inches. We'll lay this down on 60 inches, and that'll be our full length that we need. And then the rest of this piece here we'll use on this end. We'll take and make the wedges out of this piece on the end here. So now what we have to do is we have to split this board in half, so we have our two rails. So we find the center, and we have 3.5 inches almost exact. So we'll go to 1 3/4 will be the center. And make a mark here. We'll always pull from the same side. You don't want to pull from here to here. You want to pull the same side. Put your mark. All right, and then I'll take a straight edge and mark this down in through the middle. All right, so now I got this centered marked, and we're going to take the saw and we're going to rip this down through the middle. Now we have our two pieces that we need, and so we're going to take this one was the best one that we had for a template, and we're going to lay that on top here, and we don't have to worry about our holes right now. What we need to work on this time is where our handle goes, and shape the handle for each side. So what I'm going to do now is just put a mark here, right here, and that's where the length of this handle comes. And then we'll take this over on the bench and round this off so we have a nice round handle. And all I have to do is put the same board against here, and then transfer the mark, which would be right here. Okay, so now we're going to use the Spokeshave that demonstrated in a previous video when we were doing handles. So what I'm going to do is just take this down some with this, and then I'm going to take this my orbital sander with I got 60 grit paper on here, and grind the rest of it down and shape it nice and smooth. It doesn't have to be all the way totally down, but it needs to be nice to the hand, you know, when you grab a hold of it. So we'll start that. I'll show you a little bit of that, and then I'll finish it up and show you at the end. You can see it takes it down pretty good. Take all this extra material off, otherwise I'd sand the whole thing. And keep moving around here, and no vice, hold it. This is a Spokeshave, and it's designed to do exactly what I'm doing now, because if this same process that we're doing here, this would have been spokes in a wheel. And so they didn't have electric tools, so everything had to be done by hand. So you'd have a carpenter or apprentice stand there all day making spokes for every wheel. So now we got that down kind of, so it feels pretty good. Move this around here a little bit so you can see that it's getting kind of round here. And I'll finish it up with a sander, and then we'll be back. Alright, so you can see now I've got this first rail made, and it's a little bit thicker than the other, but it's nice. And so we have our first one that we made, and as you can see, it is just a little bit fighting the sun here. That's the proper length. The other part had broken off, so we'll make a second one just like it for the other side. But right now I want to do is make this wedge piece, and we can take that out of the blank that we have left. And all I'll do is just mark it out on the board, and take the saw and rip it out, and then we'll have the piece that belongs in here goes just like this on the board. And what that does, that elevates the bowl, so the bowl is up when you're carrying it on the handles. Alright, so now we're come to this part of the project, and we got the rails on here. I got them started, and I put a little spar varnish on them to help them last a little longer. As you can see, so now we get ready to mount the carriage and put the wheel on. Alright, so now we're ready to put this back on. This is our carriage piece. We're take these nuts back off and be able to slide this right on here. And this lines up everything else for the rest of the project. We get these on and get it started. And these bolts go all the way into to the bowl. So we're going to put that on there. Alright, so now we got our axle. Put that in here. And a couple of bolts. Not enough hands here. Alright, so right now we're going to put the axle in the wheel. And put this across here on this side. And this on this side. Now we want to center the wheel. We have some adjustment right here, and get it so that it runs straight with the rest of the. And we got already got the bolts bored in, so we get that adjusted. And I've left everything loose until we get all the parts put together, and we still have the bumper to put on the front here, and then our job will be complete when we just tighten all the bolts up. Okay, so I got it all together here and tightened up and wheel adjusted, and so now we have a like new wheelbarrow that's gonna last a long time. It's well worth the effort, and you have to go buy a wheelbarrow. It's very expensive, and we did this with hardly no cost and just some time. Well, I hope this was real informative for you and kind of a teachy little thing that can be applied to many other things that need handles. And well, a wheelbarrow is very essential for homesteads and farms, and even just around the house to just do regular chores. So I was able to save this wheelbarrow that I've had for a long time, and it's got a lot of years ahead of it now. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and like and share, and God bless.